family, thank you so very much for watching this video. Listen, it's because of you that we're able to reach the masses. This is what I need you to do. I need you to get a pen and a piece of paper, like, share, and comment. I have a special guest. This is the preachers of the 757. I want to say thank you so very much for being a special guest on the Preachers of the 757. Listen, tell me about yourself. We have some interesting topics that we're going to talk about, especially with you, the transitioning from your father being the pastor to him retiring, to him giving the mantle, passing the mantle over to somebody that's well deserving, which is you. And we're going to discuss that today. But tell us about yourself. Tell us about your journey.
I was reared in this church.
Okay.
We moved here in 1981.
Yes.
I was 10 years old. I was baptized at Aosinspires Church in Richmond, Virginia,
okay,
where my dad was the pastor.
Yeah.
That's the church where I was born.
Okay.
But grew up here from the age of 10
yes,
until I graduated from high school.
Wow.
I was in about just every aspect of this church.
That's what I was going to ask you. What aspect of the church were you
I was in the choirs,
okay,
junior missionaries, Christian Boys Club, church school, Baptist Training Union, youth assembly.
Wow.
There was no aspect of the church that I didn't cover. I never ushered officially.
Okay.
But there was this lady named Miss Hattie Washington.
Yeah.
And I remember when she started going blind.
Yeah.
Every now and again, she would hit me.
Right.
And say, "Go stand on the door." Like, I'm not an usher. And but she told me to stand on the door. I stood on the door.
Gotcha.
And that was most of the time for funerals and things of that nature. But Third Baptist as my family, because I grew up with my generation. So
Yes.
I knew mothers, grandmothers, aunts, uncles,
Absolutely.
fathers. So that's pretty much the nutshell about me in church.
Gotcha.
But I'm graduated from Manor High School here in Portsmouth.
Okay. Native.
Went to St. Augustine's College in Raleigh, North Carolina.
Okay.
I was on Voice Music Scholarship.
Okay.
Had a 4-year ride.
Wow.
But one day I was sitting in the waiting area at Lincoln Center.
Yeah.
We were on tour.
Yeah.
And it hit me.
Right.
I'm not doing this the rest of my life.
Okay.
So I called home and told my dad.
Right.
My dad said, "Well, let me tell you this.
Right.
You're not doing this the rest of your life.
Right.
You're going to have to switch
Absolutely.
schools
Yeah.
because I cannot pay for
Right,
North
right.
Carolina
Right.
college."
Right.
So ended up at Virginia Union. My dad really was excited when I told him Virginia Union was my second choice.
Right,
That's not going to be an issue.
Absolutely.
And lo and behold, I had to take everything back that I told everybody, that I would never be a preacher.
Wow.
I would never be a pastor. I would never, ever,
Right.
I just said it all the time.
Right.
And my 3rd year in college, I felt that strong urge to call my parents and tell them that I've been called to preach the gospel. And it was a very unpleasant conversation for me because I didn't want to. I didn't have a desire.
So you didn't grow up having to say, "Listen, like, that's my
that was
career
my
day. I want to be a
opposite.
pastor."
That was my opposite.
Are you serious?
My mother's father was a pastor. My
Right.
dad was a pastor.
Right.
And people around me. And I knew the background. I knew
Absolutely.
what it was really like. I
Yes.
knew that it was not a glamorous job.
Yes.
I knew that it was a lot of hurt, a lot of pain, a lot of stress. And I also knew that it was life-threatening.
Yes.
So I always said I wanted to live to be 103. So I just felt like if I became a pastor,
Yes.
I don't know how long I'll live.
Absolutely.
But I knew that this is what God wanted me to do. And even my life, I mean,
Yes.
when I think about my teen years,
Absolutely.
I visited the sick of this church when I was a teenager.
Wow.
I would
With
go-
your dad?
No.
Oh, alone?
When I learned how to drive,
Right.
I would visit the sick.
Wow.
I would visit nursing homes.
Wow.
I would help with feeding the hungry.
Yeah.
It was and persons on the street that were in need.
Yes.
Helping them or sitting around talking to them.
Yes.
It was natural for me.
Wow.
In hindsight, I know what that means.
Right.
But then I just thought I was just being a normal kid.
Wow. So God was preparing you that whole while.
Right.
Wow.
Right. And working in human service fields, social work, during grad school, during undergrad, after graduating from undergrad rather, prior to getting a position to teach high school, I was actually working in social services. Being prepped. Even to the point when I went to Virginia Union and graduated with a BA in English. Then I went to school, Samuel DeWitt Proctor School of Theology, and in 1996 graduated with a master's degree. At that time, I was actually an intern chaplain at McGuire in hospice. Did not even realize God was preparing me for death and dying moments. And that's all I have experienced in both of my charges. I became a pastor of Springfield Baptist Church in Marion, Virginia, 1995. I was there for 7 years because really I started in 94 but didn't become official till 95. So I count that as 7 years. I resigned September 9th, 2001.
How was that tenure? How was that?
That was wonderful. They were, now when I tell you they were family, they treated me well because I know for a fact I knew nothing of what I was doing.
Let's talk about that, because oftentimes I know young preachers, even seasoned preachers that hasn't had the opportunity to pastor. When they get their first assignment, they feel as if I'm not qualified. I don't know what I'm doing. All I know how to do is preach and teach. That's and love on people. So what kind of advice would you give that young pastor that just received this assignment?
Well, my first thing to any pastor is you really have to love.
I know that you're enjoying this video, but I need you to connect with us. Our mission here at AOS Inspires is to empower the world to never give up. The message is free. It's just expensive to get it out. I need you to prayerfully connect with us. If you're giving through Cash App, it's AOS Inspires. If you're giving through PayPal, it's AOS Inspires. I promise you, your seed will be a blessing to somebody else and help us to fulfill our mission, and that's to empower the world to never give up. I want to connect with you, and thank you so much for sowing into AOS Inspires.
The people. You cannot be distracted from loving people. I do not care how they treat you, how they treat your spouse, how they treat your family. Loving them is between you and God. And God is going to bless you and favor you, but you have to love the people. And you have to love them the way you love your mother. Not the way you love a friend. You have to love them the way you love your spouse. Not physical. but the way, and when I say that, I'm talking about the respect. The respect aspect of love. The patience that you have with your family. And when you're a young pastor, understand that you still have to respect the elders in that church. You cannot come in there and say because you're the pastor, you get to talk to an 80-year-old any way you want. Absolutely not. You have to apologize when you come out of pocket with an elder in the church. And when they are upset and go off on you, sometimes you gotta take it. You gotta swallow it. You can't always fire back. I've learned from just being around so many pastors how to endure hardness. My dad showed me that. My granddaddy showed me that. Your dad showed me that. How to endure hardness and allow God to do the rest. And He will.
So with the preparation of your father to supersede him of what the legacy that he has left with you. How was that transition?
The transition was unique. Number one, I was blindsided. That's number one. As I served here from 2004 until I was recommended in January 29th, Friday night, around 7:29 p.m. in a meeting in the chapel. When the senior pastor of this church stood up and said to the congregation, it's time for me to step up and step out. And the room got quiet. And in the midst of him saying that, he said, well, you have a pastor here.
Right.
And I'm going to recommend
Right.
that the assistant pastor become your pastor.
Right.
But you have to make the decision.
Absolutely.
And from January 29th to April 29th,
Yes.
he gave them 90 days to pray about it,
Right.
to share
Yes.
any issues dealing with my character,
Yes.
dealing with who I am as a person, any of their concerns.
Yes.
And on April 29th,
They made a decision.
198 persons.
Wow.
Now, I'm going to tell you, that was not everybody in the room.
Right.
So I'm not going to even pretend
Right.
like everybody in the room voted yes.
Absolutely.
198 voted.
Yes.
And because 198 voted,
Yes.
then they had the second vote.
Absolutely.
To call that the majority.
Yes.
And the majority said yes, and we moved forward. But the transition was unique because my father made sure that I served the church.
Yes.
He never once said to me, you're going to be the pastor of this church one day.
Wow.
I never once thought it.
Really?
I don't know what was on my mind,
Yes.
but being the senior pastor was not.
Wow.
It wasn't even something I looked forward to.
Wow.
But I will tell you this.
Yes.
The last few years before my daddy's retirement, more people made the statement than ever.
Wow.
I had never heard that many people remark, and I had been here long enough
Yes.
for that remark not to mean anything.
Yes.
Now, when I first came, one saint who's gone home to be with the Lord said, God sent you here to be our pastor.
Wow.
And
How did you make you feel in that moment?
I felt like that was an awkward conversation.
Yes.
Because in my head, I saw my dad still
thriving.
Yeah. Right. So there was a thin line
Absolutely.
between, are you saying,
yes,
what are you saying?
Right.
What are you trying to say? You know. So I was kind of in the flesh.
Clear this up.
I was kind of in the flesh more so than in the spirit.
Absolutely.
And she was a sainted mother of the church. She wasn't anybody that just ran her mouth.
Right.
So when she said it, I was uncomfortable because it arrested my flesh.
Absolutely.
You know, I don't know.
Right.
I believe that I was similar to David.
Yes.
Just doing what God called me to do.
Right.
And the prophet showed up.
Yes.
But I was in the middle of doing my job.
Wow.
I was not trying to become the senior pastor. And when I was voted on, when I was recommended, I was kind of shocked.
Wow.
When I was voted on, I was kind of shocked. When I was sitting at my installation,
still shocked.
But I do know that God called me. And I do know that this is where God wants me. And I do know that the people of God and I, we are growing together. They're teaching me just like I'm teaching them. And they're loving on me just like I'm loving on them. This is a strong God relationship. This is not what I get because my benefit from being at Third Baptist is God put me here.
Right.
And that's the peace of mind. You can't beat peace of mind.
Absolutely.
And I know that.
Absolutely. So with the transition, I love that. But you're absolutely right. You cannot beat peace of mind. That's the number one thing. But in transition, there were a lot of traditions that you took on from your dad's generation to your generation. When I walk in the sanctuary, I see a distinctive difference. The chairs are removed. I'm seeing most churches are going to removing the chairs. How was that? Was that a struggle? Because I've talked to one pastor and he was saying, and my dad always tell me this story. He said there was two preachers. One preacher went to a church and he tried to clear the pulpit. The fourth week of him being there, he cleared the pulpit. They voted him out of there. Then there was another pastor that came in and he wanted to clear the pulpit, but he did it inch by inch by inch. And then next thing you know, everything's cleared off the pulpit. And the other pastor that they voted out came back to him and said, what happened? How did you clear the pulpit and they voted me out, but you cleared the pulpit and it's still the remaining, you're still there? He said, because I did it inch by inch by inch. So has there been any struggle with the changing with your vision that God has given you?
I think with all change, there is struggle.
Absolutely.
Even with faith. When God gives you a vision, sometimes you struggle.
Yes.
I had to deal with my struggle.
Wow.
Because you got to remember, this is my home church.
Yes.
So
from a baby boy.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I'm already in the I shall not be moved generation. Like a tree planted by the river.
That's it.
So that's in me.
Yes.
So what took place is I always enjoyed sitting down, talking to the deacons.
Yes.
Talking to
before
the
you became
trustees.
pastor or after?
After and before. But really, when it came to my role as senior pastor, hearing their feedback, adding new deacons, hearing their feedback, adding new staff members, hearing their feedback, but hearing their feedback before I even took it to the church to vote.
Wow.
And hearing the church's feedback.
Yes.
And everyone is never going to be satisfied.
Yes.
And that's understood.
Absolutely.
Because there's going to come a time where I'm not going to be satisfied.
Yes.
You see what I'm saying?
Sure.
But we all learn to be at peace with one another, to compromise, to grow.
Yes.
I can't tell you that I received the accolades for what you see.
Absolutely.
I believe the previous pastor did this.
Yes.
The only reason this podium is here, not because he went out and looked for it. This podium came off my cell phone, and I just started looking in the internet, and I said, "That's what I want." And before I knew it, the trustees had it here while I was on vacation.
Wow.
These chairs.
Yes.
This is all a vision that was given to our pastor emeritus.
Okay.
And he envisioned that this sanctuary would change and would become modernized.
Absolutely.
And of course, it took a few years. That was in 2015.
Wow.
No work began until after I was voted in.
Wow.
When I was voted in, the work began. The work began in January of 2018. And we were out of this building for 7 months.
Wow.
Took a lot of faith.
Wow.
So it was really our faith that activated it. And of course, persons were excited to see
the growth.
And the modern technology.
Absolutely.
And when we were out, the congregation grew.
Wow.
That's how we knew we were in God's will.
Wow.
And our number one problem was finding a place to baptize every single month.
Wow.
We had to find a building to hold baptism every month. So I knew that God was smiling on us. The church knew that God was smiling on us.
Yes.
And when we came back, still excited.
Yes.
And this was not a one-man project.
Yes.
This was a Third Baptist Church family.
Wow. I love that.
Third Baptist Church. This is not, no one can say Joseph did this.
Yes.
They will say Pastor Joseph Fleming and people.
Yes.
Even people that are no longer here. People who passed on. People who may have moved on. Along with Pastor Joseph A. Fleming and newer people. And people who are still here. We all did this. We all contributed. We prayed about it, or we invested in it financially, or we just were here when we marched back into the church and had our dedication service.
Let me ask you the critical question, because oftentimes people, they look at the hindsight of things, and a person from the outside would say you had your life planned out to a T. I mean, your life is just great. You know, you did what you did at your other church, the success that you had there, but God had your father here to establish something for you. What would you share with that person?
Well, one thing about being a called pastor, no one can set that for you. Because
it has to be ordered by God.
God orders our steps.
That's it.
If you are just following in the footsteps of someone, Either you will lose yourself or lose your way.
Right.
And there will be some disconnect.
Right.
What's wonderful about Pastor Emeritus,
yes,
he falls back to the point. You would have to know he used to be pastor here.
Wow.
You do not see him at Bible study.
Right.
You do not. Now he comes to men's ministry on Mondays,
Right.
but you do not see him on Wednesday nights. You do not see him at church school.
Right.
He's here at 11 o'clock.
Right.
He's not here at early morning worship. He doesn't come to funerals. He doesn't come to meetings.
Right.
You know, he is a member. Matter of fact, my first Sunday after my installation, he walked down the aisle and joined church.
Wow.
Now he's an encourager.
Absolutely.
He encourages me, but when people come to him,
yes,
and they tell me,
I'm not the pastor.
I'm not your pastor.
Wow.
And he points, go to your pastor.
Wow.
And that's the same thing. I probably shouldn't say this on camera, but that's the same thing with the telephone.
Absolutely.
You know,
Absolutely.
calling, you're like, no,
yes.
I'm not.
I love it.
I'm not the pastor.
I love it.
So, really, it would have been difficult for me to say,
yes,
I had a place because my dad was here.
Right.
I believe whomever God wanted here,
yes,
this would be a blessed opportunity.
Absolutely.
Because of the way he did ministry.
Yes.
And the way he ended.
Yes.
He ended so well
yes,
that anyone
yes,
that God placed here
would have been blessed.
Would have been blessed
Wow.
to be here.
Wow.
Not just his biological son,
who
wanted to be a mortician because I wanted to be, I wanted to have that money that Mr. Fisher and Mr. Carpenter had.
Absolutely.
And I just thought they were just the,
yes,
I thought they were just
they
the
would have
cream
cast
of
me out.
Yeah, the cream of the crop when I was growing up. And they were successful, in my opinion. And then the pull to become a school teacher.
Yes.
And that was my focus, education.
Absolutely.
And I felt, even when I was in Meharry, Virginia, I would always be a bivocational pastor, never full-time. This was God's doing.
Absolutely.
And I know it was because it's not what I wanted. And and he and I had arguments between January 29th, 2017 to April 29th, 2017. We argued about this because this is not what I asked him for.
I was watching this video yesterday, and the video was so enlightening. The young man said this. There's club promoters. They may post pictures of the club that night, the following week, or the following day, just so you can see what's going on in the club. But he said, I've never heard nobody say, I just want to see what goes on in the club from Facebook. I want to view the club from online. People want to go to the club to experience in person. What do we need to do as a church to make it to a place where people say, I don't want to just view church on Facebook Live. I don't want to view it on Faith Video on Demand. I want to go into the sanctuary where they are having church and witness it in person for myself.
No matter what your style of worship, no matter your denomination, the church has to be a welcoming place.
Yes.
And when I say that, the invitation has to be consistent.
Yes.
And it has to be warm and well received.
Absolutely.
If persons feel that the invitation is sincere, they will come.
Yes.
If they feel welcome, they will come inside.
Yes.
Invitation and welcome will keep people here.
Each Sunday.
Each Sunday.
Yes. So what has been, I understand, I talked to multiple pastors. What has been your success plan, or what has been working for you to make people want to come back? And a lot of preachers and pastors give me different stories, but what has been working here at Third Baptist to help you to say people are just saying, listen, I'm going to hear my pastor say.
More and more people at this church are embracing a spirit where they're welcoming people and they're inviting people. That's what works. To the point that we have a young ministry, a youth ministry called Awana. And They meet every Monday. About 50 young people studying the Word of God.
Wow.
They are preteens and younger.
Yes.
Out of that ministry, there are about 5 young men, 11 years old and younger, who every week have gone into their neighborhood and convinced somebody to come to church on Sunday.
Wow, that's amazing.
To the point that the past 4 months, I have baptized them, their aunt, their cousin, their brother, their sister.
Seriously?
Their mother has joined, their aunt has joined.
Wow.
And
compelling the whole family.
And that's what evangelism is.
Absolutely.
It should be friendly.
Right, yes.
It should be familial.
Yes, yes.
It should be, I'm going home.
Yes.
And I'm bringing somebody else.
Absolutely.
And that's what's starting to happen.
Okay.
And yes, I'm using social media.
Absolutely.
And yes, we have now a media ministry.
Wow.
That is taking social media serious.
Yes.
That's making us produce flyers every 3 seconds.
Absolutely, absolutely.
But making sure people at the door are warm and friendly.
Love it.
Making sure leaders of the church are warm and friendly.
Now, what do you do at your meetings? I love going to Chick-fil-A. I've never been to not one Chick-fil-A and the customer service was nasty. I've never done that before. Never. I've never experienced it. So what do you do at your meetings to talk to your leaders to help them have that type of spirit?
Number one, I remember that growing up, Third Baptist always had certain people here who made you feel like you were $1 million, like you were just the most important person in the building.
Yes.
And you watched them do that with everybody.
Yes, yes.
So remembering that and knowing that some people here are in those immediate families,
yes, yes.
I just focus on that by reminding persons and I use Chick-fil-A from the pulpit. I use Chick-fil-A in staff meetings because I say to persons, this has to be a Christian professional environment.
Yes.
No matter how bad our day is,
That's right.
nobody needs to know we had a bad day.
That's right.
Persons need to know that we wanted you to come.
Yes, absolutely.
And when I open the doors of the church, I try to always remember to say, not only baptism, Christian experience, or you can come to be a member of the church, you may already been baptized.
Yes.
But I say to them, we want you here.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
We actually
intentionally.
We want.
I don't want you just to visit, but I need you. I want you.
We
here.
want you.
I love that.
And when we do the right hand of fellowship, you are a gift to us.
Absolutely.
Whatever gift you have,
bring it on.
If you don't see it here, tell me so we can celebrate your gift.
I love that.
But making sure that everyone is comfortable in the church, that's important.
Absolutely.
And that's what I focus on, trying to make sure every generation feels welcome, and the non-member. I don't care if they come in here with an odor. If they come with an odor, I'm excited because that means this church smells like ministry and not perfume.
I like that. Say that one more time.
I love the smell of ministry.
Yes, yes.
Because that means that everybody has come from different walks of life. But if everybody in here smells like perfume and cologne, that's privilege for you.
Right.
You know,
absolutely.
You need persons from every walk of life because you need disciples to be built, and you need persons to go places where other people will not go, and tell folks about Christ. So it's all following the mandate of go. When Jesus says, "Go into ye therefore into all the world," and then come unto me.
Absolutely.
Come on.
Absolutely.
The scripture tells you everything you need to build a church.
Yes, it does.
It says they went from house to house.
There you go.
And we got to go from house to house.
That's right.
Fellowshipping,
even now,
praying, eating together.
Yes.
It still works.
Yes.
Acts still works.
Absolutely.
And that has to happen.
It has to happen. Now, looking at the changes, we talked about that a little bit. How important is that for moving forward with the generation that you have now? I had a conversation last week don't exclude the younger generation, but don't exclude the older generation either.
Exactly.
And I believe that the question that came up that day was that the damaging effect is that more energy is being transferred to the older generation because they're the giving ones, and not to the younger generation because they don't give anything. Now, what is your take on that?
Well,
as far as the older and the younger?
Yeah, all of that is teaching.
Yeah.
Young people have to be taught that tithes and offering is not an option.
Yes. Absolutely.
Seniors have to be taught that millennials attending church is not an option. So, with our monitors and screens, we don't just have praise and worship.
Right.
The lyrics.
Right.
We have the lyrics of the hymns.
Right. There you go. There you go.
Okay.
There you go.
And we don't just use the monitors to zoom in on the pastor.
Right.
We use the monitors to flash important announcements.
That's right.
To recognize pioneers from the civil rights struggle.
Wow.
And we make sure that everybody can worship under the same roof.
I love it.
We don't have, and we haven't grown to the place where we need young adults in one building.
Yes.
Now, we do have children's church for the little children.
Right.
Who probably couldn't sit still a long time. Right. But teenagers and young adults, we want them to want to be in the sanctuary with us.
Absolutely.
So we have contemporary worship.
Yes.
And we have traditional worship.
Yes.
Every Sunday.
I love it. Now, what's going on heavy now is that now more pastors are having successors, somebody that they're grooming to take their position when they leave. Reggie Sharp, as an example, he's going to Chicago December.
Yes.
Great opportunity. What would you share with the younger preachers that's coming up behind them, they can't wait their turn, but they need to wait their turn? What encouraging words would you give to them to let them know that your time is coming, but also what to do in that time until your time is coming?
I believe that when you first go into a church and you have transitioned and the former pastor is in the church or the former pastor has gone home to be with the Lord, you have to honor your foreparents. You have to honor the history of the church. Never act as if the history does not matter, no matter how pleasant or unpleasant. History is history. If you have the former pastor with you, honor him, honor her. Make a day to have Pastor Emeritus Day. Honor their spouse. They worked there prior to your coming. Honor people who worked alongside them. As you honor them, make sure that those who are coming on board or who want to be leaders and new leaders actually sit down and interview them and find out what the church legacy has been in the past, how the church has grown in the past, what were some of the strengths and weaknesses of the church, how did they get over difficult times. But I believe that a new pastor has to come in loving and honoring the church, past, present, and future. And I encourage every new leader to celebrate your former leader, whether they can hear you or whether they are with the Lord. Third Baptist Church, 461 Godwin Street, Portsmouth, Virginia.
Messiah born and raised to give us all